And then another story on this Richard Moore that I'd told, when we were riding, he'd always tell stories about, and horses, it seemed like he remembered every horse he ever had. And this one time we're riding and talking about horse, and he said, when we came to this country, we brought up a lot of broke horses. And he said, we had one horse that was really a good horse. But he said he was a bronc, and he said he'd buck, but he said, oh, he's a good horse. We sold him to a ranch up in Sydney, and he said the horse got the Buchan's Cowboys off, so they broke him to work. And he said they were hauling hay down northwest of Medora on a ridge with a load of hay, and the hay, either the horses ran off or something and tipped this hay rack off the side of the ridge. And he said this horse, we called him Strychnine, he said, and because he's so bad. And he said the horse got up and it twisted his neck so his head was cocked off to one side. And he said the next year, and this is the funny thing, he said the next year Tom Smith came in here and he bought him. And he said, made a racehorse out of him. And he said they had a race in Sentinel Butte. He said they shipped horses as far away as Bismarck to this race in Sentinel Butte. And he said Tom Smith had old Strychnine there and won the race with him. 14 years old, the horse was. Well, I never even, Tom Smith, as far as I was concerned, I never heard of Tom Smith. And I thought, well, that's some cowboy's been around this country. Well, then later on, when I'd started reading, Tom Smith was the trainer who trained the famous horse Seabiscuit. And he'd been an old cowboy and worked for fellas and all over the area. So that was kind of the connection with Tom Smith. And I'd like to ask him about it. I wish I'd ask him questions, but usually I was just listening and I didn't ask many questions, but he could have told me more about Tom Smith probably.